Welcome to the Positively You podcast. I'm your host, Jessie Larson, and I'm passionate about helping you shift the way you think so you can create a life you're absolutely obsessed with. Each week, I'll be bringing you a guest or a thought that's going to help you feel more optimistic and equipped to take real action. Get ready to push past limiting beliefs, ditch that negativity, and start showing up as the best and most positive version of you. Girl, let's do this. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Positively You podcast. I'm Jessie. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm so grateful every time you push play on the podcast and come and hang out with me for a little bit. I realize that when I record this, it's totally a one-way street of me talking to myself, but it actually doesn't feel that way. I feel the energy. It feels like a two-way conversation, which I hope is what you're getting. I hope it feels like we're just riding along in the car. I'm in the passenger seat and we're just having a good chat together. That's totally the vibe that I want to get this from, which would maybe be easier when I have a guest or a co-host. So there is an actual conversation going on. But today it's just me flying solo. More guests are coming. I'm so excited about some of the interviews that I'm scheduling and the connections that I am making. And honestly, right now, putting out into the world, opening the door that I want to interview some more awesome people. So there's that invitation for them to come into my life and the right people that you want to listen to. We will make that connection happen. So there's a little bit of magic for you. But for today's episode, I have a list of things that I've been kind of wanting to talk about and waiting for which one I wanted to have pop up and be yep, that's the one. So I pulled out my list today because I knew I needed to record. I was kind of looking at them and one was sticking out to me, and it's my episode and my idea about talking about anger. And you're like, oh no, I tuned into the Positively You podcast so I could feel positive, not angry. Hear me out. I also have a huge aversion to anger. And recently, over the last probably year, maybe year and a half, I wouldn't venture to say 2 years, I've really been working on recognizing anger, expressing anger. That's an interesting one. Honoring anger, allowing anger, experiencing anger. I think one is just identifying anger for what it is. I remember having a conversation with Connor a long time ago, year ago, more than that. And I was just venting and complaining. And I kept saying, I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I'm just so annoyed. And he stopped me and he said, you're angry. And I honestly had to pause. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm mad. I'm angry. Yeah, you're right. I'm angry. And I've grown up in my life the badge of peacemaker. I smooth things over. The boat is rocking. I'm we're all good. We're all chill. We're all calm here. The badge of peacemaker. I wear it proudly. We'll just say that. And so to be someone who feels anger and gets angry, that felt so foreign to me. Here's the thing though. We will feel emotions. They're here. They're in here. And if we don't honor them, identify them, accept that they're there, allow them to flow through us and fill it, guess what happens? They just kind of get pushed down and then they fester and they're there. And it's this awful energy that just gets built up over time because you don't allow yourself to feel it, but your body still experienced it. So it's there. And after I had that realization where I figured out I wasn't just annoyed. Yes, I was very annoyed, but that I was actually legitimately very, very angry. That's when the conversation and the relationship with me and anger kind of shifted. And I've been able to actually sit and be oh my gosh, I'm angry right now. And that's okay. It's okay to be angry. And being angry doesn't mean throwing a fit and yelling at people and cussing and road rage, right? We think of that as like anger, as like these like uncontrollable outbursts, and like the road rage where we're like driving up behind the person who pissed us off and flipping them off and honking our horn and getting all angry. Like, yeah, I guess that's anger. But learning that there are good ways of expressing anger and getting it to like run through your body and get out, and to dig a little bit deeper and like get curious, right? I'm always saying get curious. And that was something really cool, is when I started getting more curious about the anger and allowing myself to feel it. Now, this past year, things took an even bigger turn just a couple months ago when I was able to experience an anger release. And let me tell you, so I did like a year of talk therapy, and I love talk therapy. I think everyone should have a therapist. Everyone should have a safe space where they can go and just like word vomit out things. I believe there are tons of different healing modalities that we can do to help us live as the best and most positive version of ourselves, right? That's what this podcast is all about. So earlier this year, the beginning of the year, right after the new year, I was able to go on this retreat where, if you've seen me on my socials, I've talked about it a little bit. I don't know that I've talked about it too much here on the podcast. I went on this retreat called Embrace Your Weird. It was with the two girls who host the podcast Certified Weird. I love them dearly. Andy has been a dear friend. She's been on this podcast before. She will be coming on again. And Meg, who I met right before the retreat, honestly, and she's such a magical person. It was amazing. So anyway, go to this retreat, and part of it was this like boxing energetic like release, this like renew for the new year, which I was super excited about. I love, releasing and like looking forward to the new year and the future and all of this. And it was just a good time. Like I thought, like, yeah, it's right at the new year. Like, let's release 2022. Let's go into 2023 feeling really, really good. Wow, did I underestimate what that emotional release was actually going to do for me? Like, we'll just leave it there. So we start out, Heath is Meg's partner and just another magical human being. And we start out and he leads us through this little like breath work. And if you've never done breath work, holy cow, it's amazing. I had my first experience with breathwork in September with my friend Kelsey Larson, who, also putting this out there, going to get her on the podcast soon as well, because she is another just, I hate using the word magical, but so many people that have come into my life lately feel just like magic. So that's what it is. Leads us through this breath work. We get our hands like wrapped up in like boxing wraps, right? Like, so it's like legit. And before we wrapped them up, sorry, I'm on this story. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go. Before we did that, we were able to take these wraps and we wrote everything we wanted to release on these wraps, just whatever. And everyone's was personal to them. What did you want to release? Like, for me, some things, self-doubt, judgment of other people, my insecurity, whatever, right? Like, you're writing all of these things that was very like surfacey level. And then we wrapped up our hands in these wraps, go down, we're being led through this breath work, and we've got these pillows, but they're not like pillows, they're like hard, I don't know, that we get to just like beat. And he's walking us through, and we're like beating with like our feminine side, and we're beating with our masculine side, and he's like calling out cues, but we're also just kind of going, it's like, if you've ever felt this, or if you've ever been tired of whatever, fill in the blank, right? But like, you're also just in your own head. And I'm like beating it, and like it feels good, right? Like you're like getting your energy out, you're like pounding on things and stuff. And at one point, like something snapped in me. Like Jessie left and like primal Jessie took over. It was crazy. And I was beating this thing and I was yelling and screaming. I was so mad. And there was things that were coming up that I was mad about, that I was like, I had to like stop and be like, I didn't even know I was mad about that. But I'm like hitting this thing and I'm so mad. But as I'm doing it, it's all leaving me. Like, I'm mad and it is gone. And this like practice that we're doing goes on for, an hour or something. And we're like drenched in sweat. We're like, it's like the biggest cardio workout ever. And then we kind of like come back down, like we're breathing, and we get to take off our wraps and we go burn them in this fire that was just like, yeah, that's gone. Like we got it out and it is gone. It is gone, gone, gone. And after that, we were standing there and we were talking about, going back into life. Cause when you're at like retreats or vacations, like, right, you're not in your real life. And so it's like, what are you taking back with you? Are you taking back this? Are you taking back this? And I felt like 80 pounds lighter. Like I was like, no, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. I let that go. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. Like that's gone. That's not even a part of me anymore. And like, when you have, it really was like a release, like a massage or like a really good workout when you've had like those endorphins that hit really hard, like after you've ran like a race or something, and you just feel like I felt so light. That's the only way I can explain it, is it was just this, like everything was gone from me. And it was so cool to feel so light and free and calm and peaceful and just like breathing so like easily. And it was so interesting for me that that came from embracing and honoring my anger. Like, how cool is that? And since then, I've been much more dedicated to feeling that. And so whether it is through a physical release, which I honestly highly recommend, even a couple weeks ago, I was feeling it. I felt some stuff rising. And so I messaged Heath and I said, hey, I got some stuff I need to beat out. And we were able to coordinate together, called in another person who also was feeling the same way, and do another session and just beat it out. And like just honoring that part of yourself, especially like as women, like I feel like so many times we want to just embrace and that was the thing. Like there was so much feminine energy in it too. It was so cool. But anger is an emotion. I talk here all the time about, we want to feel all the emotions. There's not good emotions. There's not bad emotions. There's just the emotions, and there's just the truth that we're feeling them. And that was the cool thing about honoring my anger, was that I didn't label it as like, you shouldn't be feeling that. Like, how dare you? You shouldn't be angry. You should be polite and pleasant and a joy to be around, and look for the good and the positive in all things. But in honoring and embracing and working through that anger, you really do, like, it comes full circle. And in that, you really are getting back to like, not even that neutral, but like you come back to like a positive, like state of mind. So if you're like me, where you're either a chronic peacemaker, a recovering people pleaser, someone who doesn't like those like not so nice feelings and emotions, like I'd just rather like put my rose-colored glasses on and look for the good, and like not go there with anger, because it's a lot. It can be a lot. It is the most empowering thing I have done, and the most freeing thing. And even last night, I had the opportunity to go to another boxing class, which was a huge mistake because I was injured before and I re-injured myself. It's okay. And I was there with some women who I could tell were getting some stuff out. And I don't think they knew that that's what they're getting themselves into, right? It was like, we're going in for like this like fun little workout. And at the end, someone was saying like, that was like punch therapy. Like, I don't need to go to talk therapy this week. And I was like, yeah. So feeling your anger, finding good ways to release that anger, whether that is through sitting in your car and screaming at the top of your lungs. Done that. Can't really do it right now because my throat, it's still a thing. Punching things out, getting like, that's why people love going for runs and like the endorphin. Like that's not necessarily anger, but it's moving that like pent up energy in you. Breath work, amazing. Sound baths, my absolute favorite. Meditating, journaling, like writing down all of the things and then going and beating like the crap out of a pillow or a boxing bag or something. Like so incredibly awesome. So my positively tip for the week is embrace your anger. And I'm so glad that you clicked on this episode, because you might have been like, yeah, skip this one. This doesn't sound super positive. So thank you for listening. And if you are curious about if you're nervous or curious about getting your anger out in this way, if you're anywhere near me, please reach out, because I will either go with you, I will help connect you to someone that can help facilitate an emotional, energetic release like the one that I described. I will put together something for a group of us to do that. Like I'm dead serious about that. I think that this is an incredibly, incredibly powerful practice that I want you to experience. So however it is this week that you can, not that I'm like, please don't go like looking for things to make you angry. Like that's not what this is about, but just getting curious, like as things either, come up and trigger you or annoy you, right? Like I kept thinking I was getting annoyed. I was getting angry. Honor those and get curious and dig a little deeper. And then if you feel like, yeah, that's a lot of energy that's like stuck inside me, let's get it out, like physically actually get it out. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Positively You podcast. I know it's a little bit of a twist, but not really, right? I think it's right on brand. And let me know if you get some anger out of you this week, or how you honor it. Or even honestly, if you're feeling like, yeah, no, I want to know this. I want to know that thought too. So, I'm always in my DMs on Instagram, ready and willing to chat with you. My favorite is the day the episodes come out, and I always get messages and really, really good conversations happen there. So if you're one that I talk to all the time, I can't wait to hear from you. And if you've never popped into my DMs before, I promise you, I really am there, like talking, and it's a lot of fun for me and a lot of fun for you too. So with that being said, have an incredibly, incredibly lovely week. I love you so much. Thank you for tuning in to the show and for supporting me and for supporting the Positively You movement. Love you. Thank you for hanging out with me again today. I'm so glad you pressed play. If you want to take a quick second to share this episode with someone you think would love it too, that would be amazing. If you're loving the show, make sure you go and leave a review on iTunes. Reviews are like magic for podcasts, and your review will help get this show into the ears of more amazing women just like you. And come find me over on Instagram. I'm there at positively.jessie, and I cannot wait to hang out with you some more. So until next time, have an amazing week.